Hello, everyone. My name is Irene Trujols, and I'm a geotechnical engineer at Arcadis. And I have the great pleasure of talking today with Fiona McGarry at Enginuity. Fiona, over to you.
Hi, I'm Fiona McGarry. I'm Sector Engagement Manager at Enginuity. And a lot of you probably don't know who Enginuity are, but we're a charity, and our main aim is to reduce the skills gap across engineering, so across all sectors. My background previously is manufacturing, but now within Enginuity, we are supporting all sectors around the skills gap that is clearly evident, and how we can come up with initiatives and solutions collaboratively to reduce that.
Thank you, Fiona. And that's very relevant for our podcast today, where we were talking to you about how to build the future workforce and develop emerging talent, which is quite important, isn't it? Especially nowadays when everything is changing. So my first question to you is, what are the most significant skill shortages currently affecting the built environment or engineering industry in the UK? And what are the root causes?
So the built environment and engineering overall, I think, have some really similar challenges. An ageing workforce is having a massive impact across the sector, and we're not bringing that skilled workforce in quick enough. There was a time about 10 years ago where we weren't investing in apprentices, we weren't investing in upskilling our staff, and now we are really seeing the impact of that. So the ageing workforce is a real issue, but also it's not really an attractive sector for a lot of young people who are coming through. So you're combating against the two issues there. So we need to make construction, the built environment, engineering more attractive to young people. We need to attract diverse talent. We need more girls to consider entering the sector, and more diversity overall. Similar to manufacturing, the built environment is very much older, male and white, and we need to change that perception of young people, because they can't be what they can't see. And if they're not seeing that diverse talent represented within the sector, they will switch off from it. So it's really important to have relatable role models. Young people need to be able to see it to believe it. And unfortunately, people of our age, we don't really want to do it, but we're going to have to embrace social media. So we need to be showcasing, because that's the thing, the built environment is an amazing sector to come into. It's so varied. There's so many opportunities. And I think when young people realise that, even down to skilled tradespeople, we can't get skilled tradespeople anymore. Young people aren't choosing to go into the trades, and you need that across the whole sector. Welders is another thing that we can't attract any young people into, which is having massive impact on build projects. Because if you can't, Hinkley, Sizewell, wind power, if we haven't got the welders, which is just, down to one of the most normal things that you would have had years ago, it then holds up massive projects. So it's across the board we need to be attracting. So from engineers to skilled trades, project managers, health and safety. That's not really seen as an attractive profession for young people to go into.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's about enabling young people to make informed decisions, because if they don't know about a career, they just go down the norm and they just follow what all their friends are doing. So I think we need to all do a lot of work to really showcase the opportunities, because it's not going to solve itself. We need to collaborate and really raise the profile of the sector. I think initiatives like T-levels has really helped the built environment in particular. So there's engineering and manufacturing T-levels and the built environment. I think the sector is embracing those more and offering those work placements. But young people don't necessarily, or parents who are their key influencers, know about T-levels either. So it's that opportunity at 16, you can go and do an A-level, and then go down the university route or an apprenticeship route after A-levels, or at 16 you can go and do an apprenticeship, or at 16 now you have this new choice of being able to do a T-level. And a T-level is kind of an apprenticeship switched over. So with an apprenticeship you do 80% off the job and then 20% in a training provider or an FE environment. But with a T-level it's 80% in the classroom and then 20% off the job. And it does enable those young people who do want to go and further go to university or a degree apprenticeship to really understand what they're getting into and have that real hands-on experience in the environment. but we need to attract more females to the sector. I mean, in engineering, it's been going really slow. So I've been in the sector for 20 years. And when I joined, it was 10% females. And then we reached the heady heights 2 years ago of 16.5%. And we saw that as progress. And then unfortunately this year, it's now dropped to 15.7. And that's a real alarm bell, I think, for the sector. And the research, when you dig down into it deeper, we are attracting more young people. We are actually doing a lot of work. There's so many initiatives, so many great organisations going out into schools, spreading the word and educating young girls about the sector, but we aren't retaining them. And that's, I think, more worrying. The fact that we've managed to do all the hard work, get them into the sector, and then it's between 35 and 44, a lot of females are now leaving the sector. And so there's work that needs to be done around that as well.
Definitely, completely agree. We'll go back to retaining staff in a minute, but I wanted to point out, I'm really glad you mentioned social media as one of the new, emerging skills that people need, because again, you said we got the younger people who are more prone to use social media platforms, and they know how to do the job. But then we've got the people that are in the existing organizations that, well, it might be a bit too late for the game. So in terms of that, how do you think companies are facilitating these existing employees to learn these new skills? Do you think there's an issue as well that companies are a bit reluctant of going towards AI or even social media presence? Do you think there's a bit of a blocker there?
Well, young people, that's where they're going to for their careers advice these days is TikTok. That's what they don't use Google. They're not using Google. They're using TikTok. So unless your company, your sector is on TikTok, young people are not being exposed to it. So we need to embrace it, but we don't need to be on there telling young people about it. You need to be utilising your current young talent. So your current apprentices, your current early emerging careers people. And day in the lives, they're absolutely brilliant. And young people really get attracted to that. And AI, you're going to have to embrace AI, because the young people that are coming through now, so we've got Generation Alpha will be hitting the workforce in about 2 years' time. And then we've currently got Gen Z, and they're digital natives. They're using it day in, day out. They are embracing AI, and I think we're all quite reticent about it because it's the unknown and it's going to take jobs. It's not going to take jobs. It's going to create different jobs. There's going to be jobs coming out in the next few years that we've never even considered across all sectors. But it's about embracing it because it saves time. It can really enable people to do and get rid of a lot of those mundane tasks, and then spend more time, which you need, on those creative or those more focused and collaborative activities.
That's completely true. Are you aware of any innovative solutions that companies have adopted to combat these skill shortages, solutions that have proven successful within companies, or anything that you can draw from projects?
Competitions with early young people and early careers people, I think, is really, really good. It drives quality and it drives expertise. I'm a real advocate for World Skills. And World Skills is a brilliant competition. I was lucky enough to go to Lyon in September, where the World Skills final was held. And they have loads across the built environment, loads across engineering and manufacturing. And they are young people, 16 to 24, who are in their early careers. And they get to try different specialisms and go through different competitions and then compete with the best in the world. And I do think competitions really, really drives people to work hard and innovate and learn new technologies, because they've got this opportunity, and it then creates relatable role models. So competitions, I think, are really good. Taster days are really, really good at, exposing young people to, particularly girls and particularly diverse talent. It's about showing them and giving them the opportunity to come in your working environment and see. So in manufacturing, they have National Manufacturing Day, there's National Engineering Day, and it's embracing those particular days and opening your doors and allowing young people to come in, and their key influencers. So parents, massive in terms, and teachers. And I think that's often the difficult thing with teachers is they become a teacher and then they're in school, and then they don't have time, and some of them have never done a job before they've become a teacher, so they're not aware of the careers that are out there. They're not aware of how they can relate what they're teaching to young people back to the current work environment. So there's some organisations like the Design and Technology that enable teachers to go out for a week within industry, so within design, within the built environment, architecture, engineering, and then they can really come back to the classroom and have a massive impact on a load of young people about how they can relate what they're learning in terms of maths and, you know, geography and design, and it will really inspire them then to move forward into those careers.
I completely agree with you. And I remember when I was on my early days, when I was studying my degree, I wish I had more exposure of actually what I'm studying for means in the workplace. One thing is academia, is reading about it, and a completely different thing is applying it to real life. So I think bridging that gap there between both teachers and experts in the field will be great for so many people like me back then that didn't have an idea what to do or why these things occur. I think that will be so good, and you know, hopefully organizations like yours can help that as well, can just through dialogue or workshops to talk to people, you know, to foster that. I think this brings me to my next question is, what efforts is Enginuity making to create a more inclusive workplace for individuals from underrepresented backgrounds or those changing careers that are perhaps on a later stage of their lives?
So we do a lot of work. We've just recently launched the Enginuity Alliance, and it's about, because there's so much good work out there. There's so many good organisations. You've got AFBE, the Association for Black and Ethnic Engineers. They're doing great work, and Design and Technology. And it's about bringing everyone together to collaborate so that we're, you know, speaking to government and ensuring things are put in place in policy that will, you know, that will support our sectors. So ensuring that the levy, when it is transformed, will be reflective about our needs and what we require. The industrial strategy, that will be reflective about what we need as a sector. So we do a lot of work. So it's coming together, the Enginuity Alliance, and having that one voice. And so we ask people to join up. It's free to join up, and you can learn about the work we are doing and the projects that we are doing. And because we're a charity, every year we run about 30 projects that support the sector and enable either young people, career changes. That's another way of really getting some new talent into our sector, because I think people just go down a path at 16. They're expected to go to college and then university, and then they're not really in the career that they want to be in. And I was at an event the other month. A very clever lady said, it's no longer a career for life, it's a life of careers. And I think the young people today and next gen, that is what they're going to have. They're going to have a variety of different careers. And it doesn't need to be just because you studied architecture at uni that you've got to stay and be an architect for your whole life. You can try different things. And I think that will really help the sector, because you've got that new talent coming through. They've got experience from other sectors. And so career changes is another some of the work that we're supporting, and upskilling your current workforce. You know, if you've got a shortage, and I think we found particularly with SMEs, with the new budget and everything that's been announced, they're not able to invest as much in new talent. So what are you doing with your current talent? You know, there's courses, there's short courses that can be delivered, collaborations with others, mentoring that can upskill your current workforce. So I think we need to be more innovative with our solutions around skills. So that's what Enginuity are doing. STEM returners, that's another project that we support. And that's a brilliant initiative, because so many people leave STEM careers either to have children or for caregiving responsibilities, or just, you know, step out of the workplace for a bit. And it is very daunting coming back into that, you know, fast-paced engineering environment. So STEM returners is really, really good. It supports that person back into their career with mentoring and coaching and a 12-week wraparound program, and supports the employer as well. And that's the thing, we've trained all this talent. We can't afford to lose it. So we need to make it, and, you know, flexible working. I think within our sectors, it's been slow to adapt to flexible working. But if it means you can have somebody rather than lose that talent, we need to look at supportive ways around that. not all environments can support home working because you need to be on site or within, but are there ways that you could do 4 longer days? And then that person has that 5th day where they can, have that flexibility, part-time roles. And about maternity and paternity, when I was at the ACE event the other week, we were saying, we need to reform things so that paternity is utilised more, so it gives that mother more opportunity to return to the workplace earlier if they wish. They might not wish to, but we need to be looking at ways to support the talent that we have so that we don't leave and lose them.
I completely agree with that. It's about having options,
Yes.
having an option that if you might not wish to return, you don't, but you have it out there, you can use it. And I really like what you say about it's no longer a career for life, a life for careers. Never heard it before until you said it.
Oh, I keep saying it all the time now. I think it irritates people, but I think it's brilliant. And I think that mindset is so less daunting for a young person, because you don't think, and we all had to do that. It was very much, you went into a career, and like my parents' generation, they stayed in their jobs, people stayed at companies. And that is the great thing I think about next gen, is they're job hoppers. They won't stay somewhere if they're not happy, which is another good thing, because things then have to change. They won't put up with things. But because they are job hoppers, it means it's more accessible, and there are those vacancies, there is that movement. And for a young person knowing, well, I'm going to do this for now, but I might do something completely different, I think it's really empowering, and it, creates opportunity.
Oh, definitely. And I just keep bringing up my 18-year-old self, I just keep thinking about her, saying, Irene, if you had this opportunity, if you knew that you were going to change careers, wouldn't life be more exciting and enticing to get young professionals to, just to move, as you said, pop in if you're not happy, just move along. And I think that's so important. And, within organizations, empower those changes, those transitions, because at the end of the day, you get more diversity, not only from background from people, but also from skills and knowledge that can bridge this gap. So I think it's very powerful what you are saying and what your organization does, because it's quite relevant in today's workforce, isn't it? It seems that we are on a stage where things are going to change, so we need either to embrace it or embrace it, because it's not the option.
Well, that's it. Gen Z, your organization needs to reflect their values. They will not join organizations that don't reflect their values. They need to be sustainable. They need to be diverse, and they will stand up and say that's not right and it needs to be changed. And I think that's brilliant. We were never empowered to do that, particularly as females in male-orientated sectors. We just put up with stuff. And I think it's really great we've got this powerful next gen coming through that are making changes, and that, and companies have either got to evolve or they'll lose out on getting the best talent that's available.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a very current topic on the industry, sustainability.
Yeah.
Everyone has gone across it. So how do you think is the push for sustainability influencing the skill demands in engineering and related fields?
There's such a skills gap around sustainability, renewable energies. I was at an event the other week in Manchester around renewable building and things like that, and they can't get the talent. So they're having to go, and because of Brexit, we haven't got that fluid movement with Europe anymore. And so it's a much more difficult program to bring somebody in from another country for this skills gap that they've got. They have to do sponsorship. And we need to learn to be able to enable our current UK talent to learn these skills. But there isn't, there's not many options for them to learn it within the UK. So we need to grow that skills base. We need to grow the opportunities for them. Sustainability is a really important topic for next gen. They're really interested in it. They want to be involved. So we need to be broadening our opportunities for young people to learn green skills. And that does require investment from the government. So we need the government to be, and that's what they're looking at with the new industrial strategy and their new policy work that they're doing. We've got to invest in those green skills. We do a project around electrification. That's one of the projects that we do. And it's just so slow in this country to expand. And, we will be left behind. So we need to be able to develop those skills, attract those young people and upskill people, because we need to be ensuring that we are sustainable and there is a real gap in that with the provision that we're able to offer.
Yeah, it is. And I think touching back on our previous conversation, especially social media, it's got a good and a bad side in terms of the information that gets out there. So people have to be very critical. But however, I do think that younger people are pushing for more and more sustainability content online. Creating their own, whether it's backed by by research or not, but it's creating awareness, and what those young people do is just influence other young people. So that's potentially going to have a quite a knock-on effect later on when they are on their careers and pushing these forward. So hopefully with the COP as well, the COP that happens every year, so hopefully that is getting out there for people
and that's
to
the thing,
talk about.
You've got the tutors who were teaching them, or the people that are in industry that teach them, and this wasn't a thing when they were developing their careers. And so you're having to kind of reverse mentor as well. You're having to get the young people that are coming through, teach the older generation about all this new technology and about the green skills that are required, and waste reduction and sustainability, and the way we've got to conform with different things. And it's educating both, because we're all on this massive learning curve when it comes to sustainability.
Yeah, definitely. We all need to be on board, if we want to be able to tackle this. And unfortunately, I just have one more question for you. And I said unfortunately because I really enjoy talking to you. I think it's been such an eye-opening in roughly like 20 minutes. But, I really enjoy what you said. And my last question will be, what advice would you give to emerging professionals seeking to build careers in a sector facing rapid change and challenges?
I think you need to have a voice, and you need to value your voice. I think, you are valuable, you are needed, and don't shy away from calling out things that aren't appropriate to you, and build up that network of allies, and an ally will support you. I found it really, really interesting. I attended the ACE event a few weeks ago about emerging talent, and I learned an awful lot. We had a brilliant male ally on the panel, and some fantastic female speakers. And then the discussion came, what is blocking those young emerging, females from being able to become leaders within the sector? And we were saying, there's so many mentoring programs around, but are these young females being over mentored and under sponsored? And it's having that voice in the room when you're not in the room that will advocate for you. And there was some great research that the male ally was discussing, but it is because it is predominantly males within that higher thing. They need to be really supporting those young females that are coming through and giving them a voice, and ensure that you built that network around you, and support each other. That's the other thing we need to be doing. We need to be supporting each other and ensuring that we are, it's not a competition. Everyone can flourish in the sector, and it's about creating that supportive network and working together, because it is a brilliant sector and we need to retain you. We don't want to lose this talent. And if there are things that aren't working for you, or if there are blockers within your career, speak to somebody about it and make sure you voice it, because don't just think, well, I'm just going to leave, because that's not going to achieve anything. You've chosen this career. If you want to leave because you want to do something else more exciting or something like that, that's fine. But if you are leaving because you feel there's blockers, you need to voice those concerns. And I think we're in a much better place now where we can support each other and ensure that everyone is thriving and everyone is happy in their work.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with that. And again, it's basically been the topic of the conversation is we do need to talk to each other. We do need to network, and not disregard somebody because of their age, for example. You're too old for this, you're too young for this. It's all about retrospective, and kind of mentoring each other, and how to move forward as a group. I do feel there's a lot of competition, and it would be great if we can just move forward, as a collective rather than.
And I think you don't have to be super amazing as well. I think that's another one of my takeaways from that event. The panel were all like amazing and, massive high achievers. And that is fantastic. But you you can just be normal and still achieve and do well, and I think sometimes that can make it feel that you can't, because I think women have had to go above and beyond to be seen and to be heard. And so the leaders that we've got at the top now are all excelling in so many ways. But that then can be a barrier to a young female within the sector. So you can be ordinary, and, you know, ordinary is not the right word, but you can just, you know, be doing what your thing and still, you know, do well and progress. So, you know, and men have been doing it for years. Men have been average and progressing within careers. So, you know, it doesn't have to be that you go all out, and, you know, it's having that work-life balance as well. And I think, you know, you don't have to do extra. Everyone should be seen on the same level playing field.
Oh, definitely, completely agree. What a good remark to end our conversation on. Thank you very much, Fiona, for your time and for your knowledge and all your comments, all the remarks you made. They were so good. And I'm pretty sure that people are going to enjoy watching this podcast.
Brilliant. Thank you.